an episode in which Jesaya and Will take you to church.
We're rolling. We're not touching it.
You're telling me not to touch it?
Don't
you
touch
know
it.
I'm a growing boy and I'm filled with hormones?
Don't touch it. Don't. Wait, what the fuck? No, don't touch that either. Just don't touch the mic, all right?
Why would I want to touch Mike?
Oh my god, Jesus Christ, this is terrible. I hate this. I hate everything in life. What am I doing? Midterms. Hello everyone. My name is Jesaya
and Will,
and this is the Voice of All podcast, McMaster University's Meme and Media podcast. Yeah, we're stressed out.
We're very stressed out due to technical difficulties.
Yes, this fucking microphone has not worked for the past we've been here for an hour. All right, we've been here for an hour.
Struggling.
We're just struggling. Yeah,
really goes to show that McMaster has our backs.
McMaster does have our back. That's why they gave us this beautiful mic. It's dented, dude. Look at it. It's dented.
Dude.
Look at here. Right here. It's dented.
Damn.
I touched the mic. Okay, well, anyways. Today's podcast...
Why don't you touch Mike?
No, I'm not touching... No, I touched... Okay, whatever. Today's podcast is about rating systems. As you guys may or may not know, ratings are pretty much everywhere. It's how a lot of consumers glean like a general understanding of what they're about to watch before they watch it,
or consume it, or
whatever it may be. It could be like a food review on Yelp. It could be just my anime list of top rated shows.
Yeah.
Could be critical reviews on a movie.
Yes.
But rating systems are rating systems. But apparently Will doesn't like them. So
yeah. Well, it's not like I don't like them. Actually, no, like straight up, there are some systems I just fucking hate.
Could you name a few?
Well, I don't like the 10 out of 10 system.
Why don't you like the 10 out of 10?
Because everything under 5 is useless information.
Really? Why?
Because would you want to play anything under that was rated under 5?
I don't know. I need to see.
So that's that's like half the scale completely unused because no one wants to use it.
Isn't that the same with any system that has like a kind of a percentage basis then?
Fair enough, but here's the thing though. I think we need to make a system there should be a system that's completely isolated from the ever-changing quality of media, right? So like, you know, here's what I'm saying. As we progress, games are getting getting better and better.
Right.
So that's going to skew all the data to the right. So then if we put on a conventional scale of 0 to 10, it'll start going from 7 and higher.
Isn't there something to be said for the actual content of the game, though, rather than just the technical capabilities of the game?
I'm saying the actual content. Like, as we get better at making games, we make better games.
Oh,
and therefore, we will always skew the data to the right side of the scale, right? Because then games are getting better and better. It's hard to make a game that's under, let's say, a 7 out of 10.
You think so?
Well, if they're actually trying, it's pretty hard, yes.
Oh, if they're actually trying.
Like, for example, even the most shittiest games like Neptunia still score a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is whack.
Actually, most terrible games are roughly in the 5 to 6 range, you know?
Yeah.
It's never anything.
And only the most exceptionally terrible are below 5.
What was the lowest rating you've ever seen on a game?
Like 15%.
What was that?
I don't remember, but it was like some stupid, I don't know.
I've seen some bad ratings. I mean, remember No Man's Sky when it originally came out?
Yeah.
Those are some bad ratings.
Yeah, but even No Man's Sky, even at its worst, was like 40%.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, yes, it's middling 5. They could have just reported it as 5 instead, right?
Yeah.
But that just goes to show that everything below 5 might as well not even be reported. Right? So instead, what I suggest is another system that's a 1 out of 5 system. It's a scale of 5, where 1 is an objective score of saying this is bad.
Okay.
A 2 is this is bad, but if you like it, you can like it. 3 is it's okay. 4 is good, and 5 is perfect.
Doesn't that fall into the same trap as the out of 10 system? Because, you know, people are just going to rate it based on that understanding of the previous system.
but this what I'm saying is that this should be like an isolated scale that's independent of like everything before it.
Oh, so
I'm saying?
you have to totally revamp people's ideas about how to think about scales
Yes.
in order to make this work.
Yes.
Do you think that's achievable?
Hell no.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
True. Okay, so if that wouldn't work as a system, would there be another way that you could talk about scales that was actually feasible?
What do you mean?
I mean, that's obviously you can't do that obviously because people are attached to the previous system of scales, right?
Yeah.
So they'll just think of the out of 5 system as a out of 10 system divided in 2.
That's
right?
not how it works. Then
I mean, obviously,
then the
that's
reviewer
not,
has to be explicit as to what each value means, and after giving each value, never lead first with the value. Rather, put it at the end, or if they lead first with it, they have to put a preamble.
I suppose so. But like most times when for example game reviewers do that, it's because it's the review that grabs people's attention and causes them to click on the article rather than
Is it the review or is it the number?
It's the number. It's always the number.
But why so you mean someone will see something that's completely outside of their understanding of what the game should be, and then they click it?
No, usually people use ratings as a way to think about what they want in a game, and then they'll look for like feedback on it, right? And usually, at least in my experience, when I look at game reviews, I'll go immediately to whatever number it is, and then I'll see what their justification for it is afterwards. And I think that's how most people read this sort of stuff.
Yeah, but will people actually look at the justifications, or they look at the aggregate score?
I mean, personally, I do, but
Yeah.
only after I've seen the aggregate score, right?
And is an idea of an aggregate score even a good idea, though?
Probably not. I mean, there's plenty of problems with it, obviously.
Because then there's too many variations as to what people like.
Yeah.
The aggregate, it doesn't know how much to weigh each score. Like it divides It divides the score evenly between all the reviewers. But that's not the case because there's nuances to it. For example, if we're looking at FPS and there's FPS reviewers for it, FPS reviewers should have a higher weight towards determining the aggregate score.
Yeah.
Why would you want an RPG reviewer having the same having the score weigh the same as like someone who's actually specialized?
Oh, when you say an aggregate score, are you talking about scores across a bunch of reviewers all put together into one?
Yes.
Okay.
Like a averaged culminated.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens when you put like a democratic spin on a rating. So for example, on like Steam reviews, or Rotten Tomatoes, right? It's just the general perception of it. And honestly, like I'd say, at least when I consume something, I never just look at the aggregate score.
Yeah.
I'll always look at individual reviews and what people think.
Yeah.
Because usually there's a bit more, I guess in humanities we would call it thick information, like information that's a little bit deeper. You want to say something about the thick information? Come on, you know you want to.
I know I do want to, but anyways, as I'm going to continue. See, but that's an individual case basis where that's you.
Yeah.
But then the average person would just look at the score and move on. So either we change how things are weighed by genre, or we can have. But the second part is unreasonable because it requires the user to actually know which reviewers they want to trust.
Yeah.
But for the informed gamer time, for the informed gamer, right? It is expected that the gamer should know which reviewer specializes in what and listen strictly to them.
I think the bigger thing for me is not necessarily changing the system, but giving more people media literacy.
Yeah.
So like, if you just look at scores and then play it based on what you see in the number, you're not going to have a good time.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, it's not calibrated to your experience. The score could be a misrepresentation, especially if it's aggregate. If there's a lot of people hating on something, they'll bomb it with bad reviews.
Yeah.
Rather, it's a better idea for people to, I guess, exactly like what you said. Think about what they like, right, and then go out and find people that are interested in the same things that they're interested in. One thing that's kind of annoying about just critics in general, especially with games, but in other things too, is that when you have a site like IGN, right, all the game like writers and whatnot are just anonymous. Well,
Yeah, and they're also this is gonna be like heavy flame, but they're too scared to actually have a valid opinion. No. They're too scared to have
a dissenting opinion.
A dissenting opinion. So they will like rip on it and then be like, "There's a little bit for everyone." 8 out of 10.
Donkey. I think something that Donkey actually this is we're both referencing a video that Donkey did on Game Reviewers.
Yeah.
I think a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But what he said was that you should find people, or people should be more transparent about what they like and what they don't like in games, right? So if you like RPGs and you have a very specific niche of RPGs that you're into, for example, Western RPGs where you like real-time first-person elements, you would probably be better equipped to deal with a game like Skyrim than a person that is into isometric RPGs, right? Finding people that line up with your interests and finding people who are transparent about their own interests is probably a better way of doing it. So I think it's not necessarily the rating system itself that's bad. I think it's just the way that we, use the rating system that's wrong.
Yeah. Just thinking. Yeah, I agree.
What do you think about grade scores like A, B, C, D? I've always thought that was kind of stupid.
I personally prefer GPAs.
Yeah.
The McMaster GPA.
The McMaster GPA 1 to 12. Why do we do that? We don't know. Why do we do that? Why don't we just convert it to a normal GPA straight up?
See, here's the thing. At McMaster, we are a school about science. 12 divided by 4 is 3. You know what has 3? DNA. Triples.
We're very mathematics school here at McMaster. We like it when there are more numbers.
Yeah.
So instead of giving you grades, we give you more numbers.
Yeah.
Instead of calculating, you know what?
When you finish school, you're told to go to the dean's office.
Yeah.
Then you put in a 3-letter code, and then your highest score is after it.
Oh.
So then, as obviously the top one, I type in ASS, and then S, and then I just have my high score right next to it. That's my education score.
I like how you had to specify that you just spelled ass when you used ASS.
Yeah.
Our audience is a little bit smarter than that. They can read ?
Honestly, if they're watching us, they're not very smart.
Okay, fair enough.
And to be fair, not to blame, not to rip on the viewers, but we're not very smart either.
Yeah.
So we're dumb people making content for dumb people.
Hi guys. Yeah, you heard it here from the vault. You're dumb.
But hey, we're dumb too. So let's be dumb together.
Let's all be dumb. Yes, let's be all dumb together. Anyways, kind of tying back into that. McMaster wants you to be smart when you come out of school, so they force you to do algebra by converting your McMaster GPA into an actual GPA.
Yeah, but GPA doesn't matter.
It really doesn't. Let's refocus the unless you're going to grad school. Anyways,
grad school for the weenies.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Let's refocus the discussion back onto grade scores. Do you think grade scores like A, B, C, D work with other media? Is it better or worse than stars?
I feel like it's easier to understand because we've been subjected to grade scores for most of our life.
Yeah.
Where a B is, we got that grade score instead of being an aggregate of being an understanding and isolation of all the what we expect media to produce. It grounds itself in a more institutionalized understanding.
Yeah, because it makes it more accessible.
Yeah, because everyone understands it, right?
Having a standardized grade system for everything might be nice.
For example, let's say you give something a 6. Your main thing is that's pretty bad, right? It's I don't want to play that. But then that 6 could just as much be a C+, which is it's not that bad.
It's not a C.
It's not a C.
It's not a C.
Whereas a 5 might be a C-. Then you're that's pretty bad. But then everything below is automatically a D or an F, which
It reminds me of an example that I heard sometime last night. It's there's different ways of framing information. For example, you could say you have a 95% chance of surviving this operation, or you could say 5 in 100 people die.
Yeah.
they're both the same thing, but one sounds a lot worse than the other.
Yeah, because you're putting the focus on a different thing.
Right, exactly.
In this case, just to reiterate, like what I mean when I say like a score based on our understanding of previous things, when you get a 7 out of 10, you have nothing to compare that to except for what 7 out of 10 means in other media.
Yeah, true.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But when you get a B, what else has an 8 the letter score? School, right?
True.
So you think, hey, personally for me, getting a B in school isn't that bad. So if a game gets a B, it's not that bad. Or in university, I passed with a C+. I think I did pretty well. The game you got a C+, then it might not be that bad.
Although, admittedly, the score is still kind of subjective, depending on like what the viewer's interpretation of what a good grade is,
Yeah.
and what the person who reviewing it is the definition of a good grade is. Like, for example,
But there's also a degree of separation because as a user, you understand that school and this grade is not the same thing.
yeah, but like we're banking on the fact that we institutionally understand. We have a better understanding institutionally of what these grades mean because we've understood them from school.
Yes, but statistically, right now we have 2 test sets in order to base our understanding of what that letter means.
Suppose so.
B can translate to a 70-something% in gaming scale, but also translates to a 70-something% on the school scale. So you have 2 understandings to create your own understanding, which is your final score. Whereas you're given something in the context of games, you can only compare it to games.
Okay, let me give you an example that might brings a better understanding to what I'm trying to say. So, in high school, right? What was a good grade to you on, let's say, a math test?
A+.
Yeah, exactly.
That has nothing to do with the fact that I'm Chinese, though.
No, of course not. It was the same for me. I was expected. I both expected myself, and I was expected to get like a 95 plus on a math test because it's fucking easy, right? But what about now?
But what now?
If you were to get like a test, what would be a good grade on it?
Probably like a pass.
Exactly. Right? So the scale has shifted, and our understandings, even ourselves, our understandings have changed depending on the context that we come from.
I agree, but that implies that we're basing that score entirely only on our school scale.
Yeah.
When we can leverage the understanding of school scale and the gaming scale together, right?
I guess so.
So it's our understanding of what a C+ means, and what it means in the context of games, and we leverage that against each other. It's easier to understand. Whereas, because then there's something grounded in what we know as a fact, right, and what we know as an opinion,
right,
and what as a construct. Whereas you only have when you have just something in terms of gaming, like just this flat 7 out of 10 and nothing else, right, which doesn't evoke the same understanding as something that like the grade scale, right? Then the only thing we have left to compare it to is things within the same genre or within the same form of media.
Okay.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. All right, so for this final section, let's do one final section. Let's try and get a little funky. We've been talking about grade scales, point scales, numerical scales. Could we conceptualize a scale that is that doesn't rely on those sorts of things?
HP bar.
Oh, yeah. Oh, actually, that's pretty creative for like a game. You have like an HP bar.
Like every game is 100%, or every is like 100.
By the end of the review,
but every single time you make a mistake, we deduct points from that HP, and then we tell you how much HP you have left.
That's an interesting score, actually. But I wonder how many games would survive.
And if you go into if you hit 0, you immediately go into death save mode, where if you can find 3 outstanding good qualities, the game is still passable. But if you go to the negative point where you're where you're in the negatives by more than half your total HP, you're instant dead.
We're just talking about D&D at this point.
Yeah, but a modified D&D.
Modified D&D
but
scale.
It works, right?
Modified D&D scale. That's actually super creative. I wouldn't have thought about that. Like when I was thinking about it, I was thinking like we could use like a color range maybe, and then associate certain colors to like good or bad reviews, but then use like a spectrum, so that it wouldn't necessarily be so much of a...
The color I choose is not on the visible spectrum. You just look this colorless
This game is fucking infrared.
Like you can't really tell. You look at it, you see purple, and for some reason your whole entire eyes hurt. It's actually radiating infrared light, ultraviolet light.
It would be an EA game. It would definitely be an EA game.
Like you're just like, this game is red, and then you look at it and you're like, it's more than that because you start feeling heat radiate from the screen.
This game is giving me microwaves. All right, that about wraps up our time. Thank you guys for listening, tuning into our podcast. This was an extremely disorganized podcast, and we'll try to do better next time. But
it's not our fault. It's technical difficulties.
yeah, it was technical difficulties. We blame it on technical difficulties. Thank you, everyone. God bless. See you next week.
Namaste.
Namaste.